What else are we going to do for the next 6.5 hours? Yeah, it should pass about 10 minutes. And this is a story all about how a man called Robert the Bruce took the crown, and later in his life, when he got a bit scared, he fought Edward II at the Battle of it. Doesn't make sense. Trying to do it right. This is a story. Have you heard of Braveheart, the film?
Yeah.
Yeah, Braveheart about William Wallace?
Yep.
Right. Braveheart has nothing to do with William Wallace. The term Braveheart has everything to do with a man called Robert the Bruce. Robert the Bruce killed his nearest rival for the kingship, for the crown of Scotland, in a church.
Ooh.
He was quite determined to become King of Scotland, and he did become King of Scotland, and he defeated the English at the Battle of Bannockburn, which was in 1314. It's no coincidence, ladies and gentlemen, that this year we're having a vote for independence in Scotland, exactly 700 years after the Battle of Bannockburn. Bruce led his Scottish force of around half the size of the English army and defeated Edward II at the Battle of Bannockburn. He then wrote to the most powerful person in the world. Does anyone want to guess who that was in 1314?
The Pope?
Who?
The Pope?
The Pope. You've been on this tour before?
No.
You're good. It was the Pope, and the Pope wrote back and he said, I recognise Scotland as an independent country. The Treaty of Arbroath was signed in 1320, which is Scotland's Declaration of Independence, the last lines of which read, as long as there are 100 of us alive, we will never surrender, we will never submit to English rule, we will fight to the last man. That's not the story I'm going to tell you about. The story I'm going to tell you about, my friends, is the story about Robert the Bruce's death. Robert the Bruce died many years later of a skin condition called dry leprosy. It's when you drink dirty water, you get infected, and boils and pustules form on your skin. Your fingers and your toes eventually rot and fall off.
Ew.
It's quite disgusting. As he lay in his deathbed, his friends and family gathered around him. Well, they didn't get too close, if you know what I mean. He called out for one of his friends in particular. He was a man called Douglas. He was a Scottish knight and nobleman. He'd fought with Robert the Bruce on all of his campaigns. Douglas! Are you there? I'm here, Bruce, I'm here. Oh, Douglas! Oh, it's good to see you. It's good to see you too. You look... yeah, good to see you. Oh, Douglas! All my life I fought for Scotland's independence, but I always had a dream. I always had a dream of going on a crusade to the Holy Land. Well, I don't think you're going to make it. I mean, your legs are about to fall. Not now, you stupid. When I was younger. Oh, sorry. When I die, which will be quite soon because the story has to progress, cut open my chest, take out my heart and take it to the Holy Land. Will you do that for me, Douglas? Might sound strange to us, of course, but these were the medieval times. People didn't have dreams, they had visions. Robert the Bruce had been excommunicated for all of his life for killing his nearest rival in a church. He was ashamed, and his nearest counterpart was Edward I. Edward I had been on 4 crusades, no less, in his lifetime. Robert the Bruce had been so busy fighting for Scotland, he hadn't even been on one, so he was ashamed. Douglas understood this, and he agreed to take the heart to the Holy Land. I'll do that for you, Bruce. I'll do that for you. Oh, you're a good boy, Douglas. You're a good... Oh, I'm dying. Oh. dead. Beautiful beach up ahead of us, guys. Get used to that. There's a lot of beautiful beaches along this coastline. This area up in the north of Scotland is where Robert the Bruce spent a lot of his time hiding from the English forces and moving with his army. You want to go on? Let's go and go for a swim. Right. Are we still with the story so far?
Yes.
Right. Okay, let's go back into story mode. Douglas gathered together 19 other Scottish noblemen, knights and warriors. They set off on this crusade to the Holy Land. The heart was embalmed, it was mummified, and they set off to the Holy Land with 20 Scottish knights with their coconut shells. And they made their way down to Berwick-upon-Tweed. They got on the ferry, they landed in France, they marched down through France with their crusading banners over the Pyrenean mountains and into Spain. Everything had been going very well until they marched into Spain. As they marched along a large flat floodplain, in the baking hot sun, not a breath of wind, their flags hanging limp in the sun. Some of the men became aware as they marched through an area called Teba, which is modern-day Granada, that they were not alone. They were being followed by a sound to the east. Douglas recognised this sound. It was the sound of a vast Saracen army. The Saracens were in southern Spain, guarding the entrance to the Holy Land. On the third morning, with a red sunrise, the Saracen army came into view. Thousands of swords and shields glinting in the morning sun. Douglas knew only two things for certain. If they turned and ran, they would be chased, routed, and killed. If they stood and fought, they would of course die in the fight. There was only 20 of them, and although they were elite soldiers, they didn't stand a chance. But Douglas in his mind thought, was it not better to stand and fight, as they were carrying the heart of the bravest and greatest king to ever rule Scotland, than to run away and be remembered as cowards? As the Saracens began marching towards them, Douglas gathered his men together, and he was a bit of a diplomat. He asked them what they wanted to do. Right men, what do you want to do? Do you want to stand and fight, or do you want to run away? One of the men spoke. I think his name was Dennis.
Hello?
What is it, Dennis?
Well, I think we should run away.
What?
Well, I mean, there's 2,000 of them, there's only 20 of us. 19 if you remember that Jim is bloody useless with a sword. What? Well, I'm sorry, I mean, I've seen him surfing, he's pretty good, but when he looks like he's trying to kill a fly.
Douglas sighed. That was not the answer he'd hoped for. He needed to motivate his men. He needed to encourage them to fight. Hamish, he said, play that thing you were playing the other day. Tired. God knows I'm tired too. We've spilt the same blood in the same mud. Do you remember Bannockburn? Aye, we were outnumbered then, but we showed them English, didn't we, boys? Well, you stand with me now, boys, and show these Saracen scum that they may take our lives, but we have something more valuable than that. Well, I can't really think what it is right now, but we will stand and show them that we are Scottish and that we will not surrender or run away like a bunch of English cowards. Stand with me now, boys. Will you stand with me now? Yes, I screamed. Come on. The men quickly settled into a schiltron. It was a circular formation of men like a hedgehog pointing out the way. It was their only hope of success. Douglas stood at the centre as the tsunami of Saracen warriors descended down on top of them. He took the heart. What is this, International Tractor Day? He took the heart out of its protective pouch and he held it above his head and he screamed at the Saracens just before they engaged. This is for Robert the Bruce. He threw the beating heart into the Saracens. Lead on, Braveheart! Lead on! And the fighting started. Ching, 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 I might have taken that too far. But they fought so bravely. Ching, ching, but unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, the gods of mathematics were looking down that day. One by one, the Scottish warriors fell under the Saracen blades until there was only 2 Scottish knights left, standing back to back. Completely outnumbered, the Saracens had started to fight them one at a time, each one wanting to kill the last Scottish knights. But the Scottish knights, they didn't give up. They got more and more excited. Long is the Scottish sword, and short is the Scottish patience. Oi, you! What, me? No, you! Me? Oh no, please, not me! Please! I've got my mummy, I've got the children to feed, no please! Come and taste my blade, boy! But there really was no hope left. It was just a matter of seconds until they fell under the Saracen blades. However, just then, from outside the Saracen flanks, there was an unexpected noise. The Saracens stopped fighting and settled back into rank and file. Not sure what was happening, the Scottish knights kept up their guard, but soon they realised, as they saw, coming down from the top of the hill, a beautifully attired man with some pretty funky facial hair. He approached the exhausted Scottish knights and introduced himself. Hello, I am the Saracen commander. Hello.
Hi!
I have question, what was this you threw at my cousin Iqbal? That was the heart of Robert the Bruce, a very brave and great king. We are taking his heart on the Holy Land on a crusade. I think you are not doing this, but I tell you what, I'm very impressed with how you fight today. You Scottish are very brave or very stupid. I think it is the same thing, no? I give you a choice.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you stay here, we kill you and eat your eyeballs.
Oh, right. Oh, and what's the other?
Yes, or if you decide, you find this heart of this Roberto Bruce and you take it back to Scotland. I'm impressed with how you fight. I let you leave, but I know you have honor. So what do you decide?
Can I have a minute to talk to my... Take your time.
Right, Dennis.
What is that?
Dennis, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay here and be eaten, or do you want to take the heart back to Scotland?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm quite hungry.
No, Dennis, they're going to eat us.
That's not very nice.
Dennis, I think you've had a bit too much sun. I think you might be suffering from heat stroke. You know how originally your family came from Ukraine.
I don't know, but I love you, Mummy.
Yes, Dennis, you're definitely not well. I'll decide.
Okay, Mum.
Stop calling me Mummy. Right. We will take the heart back to Scotland. You have chosen very wisely indeed. Now go in peace. Bye.
Bye, Mummy.
Shut up, Dennis.
Bye.
Oh, God. They found the heart of Robert the Bruce and they returned to Scotland. It was a long march, but when they got back, they buried the heart in Scotland. Now, to this day, the heart lies in Melrose Abbey in the Scottish borderlands. If you go to Melrose Abbey and stand over the tomb where the heart is said to lie, on a quiet day, and you listen, you might just hear... That's right, it's built next to a railway line. But it is a true story. We have contemporary sources. A real crusade did take Robert the Bruce's heart to the Holy Land and it failed. So if you ever from now on hear the term Braveheart, Remember that it has nothing to do with Mel Gibson. It has everything to do with Robert the Bruce and his crusading heart. Thank you for your attention.